Welcome to the Maximum Edge Sports Wagering Show. My name is John Santucci. Call me Tooch. I am here on a Saturday morning, college football, ready to roll with Anthony, my man from Pounded Sports VIP, and Aaron Mikulski in the background, punching buttons. We're ready to rock and roll, Anthony.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Happy Saturday, guys.
Happy Saturday. We're going to talk college football, give out a free play, give out a lottery ticket, and give a little recap of Friday night. Let's talk about some promos we got going on first before we get rolling.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep it simple. Anybody that subscribes to our YouTube page, screenshot it, DM me or Tooch. You're going to be on an exclusive Twitter page, which involves one free play a day. You don't have to retweet. You don't have to like. You don't have to do anything like that. It's pretty simple. So if you want free plays and you like free, then subscribe to the YouTube channel. And for you already subscribe to the YouTube channel, then pretty simple. Let me know. DM me or Tooch. Pretty simple.
Yep, of course.
I'm also running a special today. 2 10-unit bombs. I got 2 10-unit bombs. I am 13, 4, and 2 in the last 19 bombs. 65% for the year. And if any of those 2 bombs lose today, we have 13 plays total, I'm going to give you a free week. And I'm expecting a huge day. And you know my plays, Tooch.
I love it today, man.
I don't see how we lose today, honestly. I love our card today.
Your top play is my top play, so of course I feel great about it. You can get on Anthony's VIP or my VIP just by messaging us on Twitter at our handles right below. And let's talk a little bit about yesterday's game, Anthony. We had the under in the Iowa game that didn't quite work out as Iowa explodes. A team not generally known for offense. They hung 51 points on the Terrapins in College Park.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, where was these points last week when we took the minus 22, minus 23 versus Colorado State in Iowa? So, yeah. I mean, Iowa's been under the entire season so far. I mean, I thought the under was a really good play.
Yeah.
And Maryland's not a bad defense. I mean, we were expecting, even the makers, they were expecting a tight game. That's why the line was 3.5. So to see Iowa blow the scoreboard up, it just blew me away. I mean, that was blowing. But overall, we crushed it for the day. We had BYU game in every direction. We teased it with down to 3.5 with the under 71. We had the -9, -10. We had the under 65. I mean, the BYU game was easy money in our opinion. That's what made our day. That was our pound.
Yep, I played that too, the BYU and the under. Full disclosure, wearing my Hawkeyes shirt today. I can wear it proudly. Aaron and I are both from Iowa. So we're a little jubilant today with our Hawkeyes. I didn't expect a 37-point win, I'll tell you that. I didn't want to even lay 3 points on the road, but I think we could feel a little more confident going forward because
I didn't even touch it.
We can feel a little bit more confident going forward with Iowa because their quarterback Spencer Petras had a pretty good game. You know, so before I didn't really think of him as anything but a game manager, but yesterday he really stepped up. The other game was Houston and going on the road to Tulsa and blowing out Tulsa, which I kind of was leaning Tulsa. I didn't play the game. You know, you and I both hated the game. We didn't want anything to do with it because we didn't think Houston had played anybody good. Of course, both these teams are in the same conference, so it's a conference matchup. Houston rolls into Tulsa and just destroys them. Was it 35-3? I think. Is that the final score? I think 35-3, right?
Yeah. I mean, where was Houston last week at home versus Navy? I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm still blown away because we lost 2 games last week. I should have blown them away, and this week. I mean, that's sports for you. That's all I can say. That's sports. It's unpredictable. Nobody could predict that.
Yeah. I'm also excited about tomorrow. I know we got NFL on tap tomorrow, man. And there's a couple games that I just love, man. I'm gonna pound as well, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll be here same time tomorrow doing the show. We'll talk about a few college football games today, Anthony. How's that sound?
Yeah, we got a great lineup coming up today.
All right, let's talk about the first game, which is Georgia and Arkansas. Two really good teams, man. Both these teams are 4-0, man. You're looking at an SEC matchup here. Georgia, it says they're number 2 in the country. Anthony, you and I probably aren't too sure about that. Arkansas, number 8 in the country. They find themselves an 18-point dog. Actually, it's 17.5 now. Over under of 50. My initial lean is the under with two good defenses. If this game, 18 points, 17.5 points, a lot of points, Anthony. Your thoughts on Arkansas and Georgia?
So first off, with Arkansas, we've had Arkansas every week. We've been capitalized on Arkansas every week. But Georgia is clearly the best team in the nation. Who is number 1? Who do they rank number 1? Alabama?
Alabama.
Yes, Alabama. It can't be Alabama. And the reason why is because they don't have the defense to be number 1, in my opinion. They've already played 2 teams that were the FCS teams, and they just blew them away. I mean, that's two less games that they really had to play. Their defense is garbage. Look at what Florida did to them. That was an embarrassment, in my opinion. You're supposed to be the almighty Alabama. You had a 21-3 going after the first quarter, and you just gave it up. But no, I definitely do not think Alabama should be number 1 in the nation. Georgia's clearly number 1. They were up 35-0 with 2 minutes left in the first quarter last week versus Vanderbilt. Georgia is clearly, in my opinion, the number 1 team in the nation. At home, Arkansas is in for a lot of trouble. Arkansas is a very good team. I don't think we've seen the best of Arkansas yet. We're going to see today. But overall, I cannot go against that Georgia defense. It seems like that whole defense is just unbelievable. I'm leaning Georgia to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and KJ Jefferson a little bit banged up. That's the quarterback from Arkansas. He's supposed to play, though. Not really, a superstar. He's a game manager, too. But seems to make plays when plays have to be made. And in a defensive game, man, that is a lot of points. Still, though, Georgia's defense is so good. And they're at home. My initial lean's Georgia, but I like the under 50 points in this game. I could see, it was a 10-3 game when Georgia played Clemson, beginning of the season. So let me throw some numbers at you. 72% of the bets are on Arkansas against the spread. 87% of the money is on Arkansas against the spread. 59% of the bets are on the over, and 71% of the money is on the over. So people are clearly feeling the over here. These are 2 defensive powerhouses. They're both really 2 of the top defenses in the country. Georgia might be the best defense in the country. Arkansas is very good. 5-1 against the spread. Yeah, they're Arkansas is 4-0 against the spread. That's why I'm kind of with getting almost 18 points. That's 3 scores. Yeah. So I think
these are one of the. So this is one of those games that the odds makers want you to take Arkansas. This is a trap game. Everybody is, when you first see the spread in this game, you automatically, your brain is functioning. Oh, Arkansas. Plus, you're going to give me all those points? I'm going to take Arkansas. That's your first initial pick. I did the same thing. Then you really think about it, okay? Arkansas beat Rice 38-17. They beat Texas 40-21. That's when they start really eye-opening people when they beat Texas.
Yep.
They beat Georgia Southern, which that's not really a hard thing to do. 45-10. And then they beat Texas A&M 20-10. Texas A&M, very, very good defense. But Arkansas, they only played 1.5 really good teams. They played Texas A&M. I think it was for real, defensively. And Texas is for real offensively. Arkansas's defense is very good. But Georgia, yeah, they won 10-3 over Clemson in week 1, but that was also
Right.
week 1. A lot of games that finished week 1, really you can't go by that because it's
Nope.
the first game of the season. Emotions are there. You're trying to build that chemistry. Week one's
Everybody's
hard
rusty.
to judge. So if you play Georgia, play Clemson again, I can almost guarantee Georgia kind of beats them by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah,
They beat
Clemson 2-2 on the
UAB,
year right
destroyed
now.
them. They're horrible against the spread. South Carolina they beat, and they absolutely destroyed Vanderbilt, which we said on the show, Georgia. And if you were smart, you took the under 10 points on the Vanderbilt team total last week, which we called that. I mean, I didn't even add that to the free play record, but I was placing the wager on the show. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So I'm on Georgia. I mean, I hate the points personally, but I'm going with Georgia. Give me the 17. I'm going to buy it down to 17. Georgia minus
I like
17.
it.
I think they win by 21.
I think that's the sharp play. Georgia at home.
And the under 50. Under 50.
Under 50. Good. I lean under initially too, man. This is two defensive teams. All right. Great points. If you're a listener to the show, man, points don't get much better than that. We're giving you the sharp view, looking for the edge. You're looking for how the bookmakers want you. They're giving you all these points with Arkansas. The bookmakers probably think this line is probably Georgia minus 21. So we'll see. This will be a good one to recap tomorrow.
17 is the perfect number to take.
Right. 17 is a good number for sure. Let's talk about the next game here. This is a little tighter game, not as big a spread. We'll talk about Cincinnati and Notre Dame, man. Cincinnati, number 7 team in the country. Notre Dame, number 9 team in the country. Notre Dame just had a physical game, coming off physical game with Wisconsin, where it was tight until the fourth quarter. Then, three turnovers, and it ended up being a blowout. I'm sure Notre Dame is feeling some lumps after playing Wisconsin. Cincinnati's 3-0. They haven't really played much competition, but you got to imagine this is their Super Bowl. They're coming in to play it. The top-ranked team that they've played so far this season, the highest-ranked team, and they are looking to get into the playoffs. Next year they'll be playing in the Big 12, Power 5 conference. If they beat Notre Dame, they're probably in the playoffs. So let me give you some numbers here. Cincinnati 3-0, 2-1 against the spread. They beat Miami of Ohio, Murray State, and Indiana. Not exactly 3 great teams. Indiana certainly a lot worse of a team than we have seen in the past. And Notre Dame 4-0. They were 2-2 against the spread, though. They played some tight games. They beat Florida State in Florida. They struggled a little bit with Toledo and beat Purdue and Wisconsin. So I don't know whether Notre Dame's hitting its stride. This is kind of to me at home, it's a little bit of a letdown spot. Cincinnati's a very physical team. You can see they're favored on the road in Notre Dame, man. What are your thoughts, Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Anthony?
Goes right back to Notre Dame hasn't played anybody. Wisconsin is the biggest fraud team in the whole nation. Wisconsin, come on, seriously. They have one of the worst offenses in the league, the most overrated defense in the league. So they were struggling versus Wisconsin the entire game. And in my opinion, was a home game. On paper, it's a home game for Wisconsin, but Soldier Field, that's a home game for Notre Dame. That's a huge disadvantage for Wisconsin to lose a home game out of that. Cincinnati, I thought they were toast last week. Put a fork in them versus Indiana. They were down double digit. They came back. It didn't just come back. They came back with a vengeance. I would love to know what happened in the halftime locker room because they blew Indiana out in that second half. They are a very slow starting team, just like they did with Murray State. First half, very slow team. So looking at it and looking at the trends on how Cincinnati plays, I can see Notre Dame controlling the game first half, And then second half, watch out. I don't care how good your coach is, how good your team is, how loud the crowd is. This Cincinnati Bearcats is going to come and roar in the second half. I like Cincinnati minus 2.5. I'll take Cincinnati today. I am not sold on this Notre Dame team. The only reason I took Notre Dame last week was because Wisconsin is the biggest fraud, just like they are fraud this week. I love Michigan.
Yeah, the Bearcats a very physical team, man. They're not only physical, they're nasty. You know, they're the kind of guys that pancake you and spit on you while you're down. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think
these guys don't quit.
No, I could see a first half play Notre Dame and a second half play on Cincinnati. You know, that might be a pretty solid play. Let me throw some numbers at you.
What I would do, real quick before you go on that.
Go ahead.
Watch the first half. Okay, this is a game you want to watch because if Cincinnati is down in the second going into halftime, which I'm assuming they're going to, I'm not going to put any money on the first half, but if they're down, you better take the second half with Cincinnati because the Trends have followed no matter who they have played, and they were in Indiana. Indiana's not getting no love, so
live bet Cincinnati for the second half, especially if you're watching the game and you see Cincinnati is physical, maybe they just got unlucky in a break or two. Notre Dame happened to be ahead. Let me throw some number at 65% of the bets are on Notre Dame, of course, because across the country, a lot of Notre Dame fans, 71% of the money is on Notre Dame too, but 100% of the money is on the over. I think, at least when I checked the numbers yesterday. So people like the over, Anthony. How are you feeling about the total?
To be honest with you, this is actually the first time I've ever even thought about total.
It's sitting at 50.5.
I think you're going to see a lower score game in the first half. I think both defenses are going to show their almighty. I think Notre Dame is going to edge in the first half, but second half, I think that's where you're going to see all the scoring, and I think it's going to be tight, very very tight for that over under. It's not an over under I would want to bet because you're going to be sweating on this one.
Right. Some numbers that support the over. Total's gone over in 5 of Cincinnati's last 7 games. Man, also Cincinnati 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games on the road. The total's gone over in 5 of Notre Dame's last 7 games. So that's the trends kind of point towards the over. I could see this being around a total of 52 points. Right around there.
And also, if you're a fan of the college playoff and a college football, you're rooting for Cincinnati. Okay, so after this game, there's no reason why they don't win out. And when they do win out, and it comes down to them being in the football playoff, a new face in the football playoff, you're rooting for Cincinnati because Cincinnati puts the noise on the board, especially in the playoff time. So as a fan of college football and a fan of football and all that stuff, you are a fan. You're rooting for Cincinnati because it's going to shake a lot of things up if they win.
Right, and they're at quarterback, they kind of had the edge too. I mean, I'd take Desmond Ridder over Jack Cohn. I just think Ridder is capable of making more plays. So we'll see. I think you're going to like watching this game. You guys are going to like watching it. So let's move on to one of the top games today.
Notre Dame, they have squeaked by every game.
They have squeaked by. So our lane, Cincinnati, and the over. Let's move on to Mississippi and Alabama. Mississippi, number 12 in the country. And, of course, we talked about Alabama, number 1 in the country. Mississippi getting 14.5 now. Line opened at 16.5. So money coming in on Mississippi. 52% of the bets are on Alabama. 82% of the money is on Mississippi against the spread. So sharp money on Mississippi. I know you're kind of leaning towards Mississippi. I could see that second half back door open for a cover. What do you think?
So going into the season, I loved Alabama. They are stacked. I love the quarterback. The line's good. I like their whole offense.
Yeah.
And before watching that Florida game, I was so convinced on their defense. They basically brought back the entire defense except for 3 guys. So I love Alabama, but going in after seeing that Florida game and how frustrating watching that game back in Alabama, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Florida's not even that good of a team, and they are dominating this Alabama defense. In reality, Florida should have won that game. In reality, um, Ole Miss is a very good team. You got Lane Kiffin comes back, and no one knows Alabama more than Lane Kiffin because he's the
Yeah.
one that created and dominated the offensive performance in Alabama.
Yep.
So now he's brought that to Ole Miss. It really comes down to how good is Ole Miss's defense. That's what it comes down to. Because we know Ole Miss is going to put points on the board. That Alabama defense is very beatable. It all comes down to how good and how much fatigue can Ole Miss conquer on this Alabama offense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I love Alabama. Love Alabama, especially in the first half, but I do not feel comfortable. I will take Ole Miss plus 14.5. And there's just, you can't do it when you got a defense that gives up 14 points to an FCS team is also.
Yeah.
Think about that.
These two
14
teams
points
combined,
to an FCS team.
They combined for 111 points last season. 63-48 Alabama win. So Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss, man, they know how to put points on Alabama. They're going to hang some points on them today. I guarantee it. Lane Kiffin, of course, was on Nick Saban's staff for several years. My initial lean when I saw this was to take Ole Miss in the points just because that offense is so good. It's the number 1 offense in the country. You know, Matt Corral, a pretty good quarterback. Bryce Young in Alabama, also a pretty good quarterback. This is going to be a great game.
This is also one of these games that the odds maker wants you to take
Ole Miss.
Dog, you know? Yep. And if you know anything about betting and betting college football, betting NFL, because everybody's an expert in football, trust me, or thinks they are. You have to bet dogs. You have to, because there's more dogs at the end of the day that's going to be favorites. But the favorites always look more sexier to the eye. It's an impulse perception. So yep. Alabama, who have they played? They really haven't played anybody either. Destroyed Miami. Yep. Miami's not. They're shit.
Mercer.
Garbage. You gave them 14 points. Mercer. That's 14 points. I'm sorry. It might not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of points to an FCS team. Florida, you should have lost to. Southern Mississippi, you gave up 14 points. I don't care how many points you scored. I'm looking at the defense. Again, you gave up 14 points to a really, really bad team. And look at Georgia. They shut those teams out. Okay? Mm-hmm. Ole Miss, they played Louisville. Louisville's a decent team. They're 43-24. Indiana, 26-20 in Indiana. Ole Miss, they beat PA, Tulane. But Ole Miss overall has played better teams and have looked more impressive. Their Louisville win is a hell of a lot better than the Miami win. That Indiana win is a hell of a lot better than how they played versus Florida. I like Ole Miss. It's way too many points. The odds maker says, we want you to take 14.5, and you can give me 14.5.
Mississippi has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, They were off last week. Let me throw some numbers at you again. 60% of the bets are on the under. 60% of the money is on the under. That is not a typo. The over-under sits at 79 points. Man.
Most points in an SEC game ever.
Ever. I could see it going over. But
I could too.
I'm not touching the total.
No, but I would go over 79. My initial lean is under, but Ole Miss, man, they could score. And they're going to score pretty much every possession. And Alabama's going to get their share of points. It's going to be in the 30s. Well, high 30s, one person, maybe 40s. Yeah, this game is going over. It's going to be a beautiful day in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa. Give me the over 79 for
All right.
fun entertainment purposes.
The number supports the over. Total's gone over in 6 of Mississippi's last 9 games. Total's gone over in 5 of Alabama's last 6 games against Mississippi. So these teams are used to playing shootouts. Let's talk about our last game, which is Oregon and Stanford. This will be a good game, Anthony. Oregon 4-0, but only 1-3 against the spread. I know they're not a good cover team. And Stanford 2-2 and 2-2 against the spread. Oregon pretty good at running the ball. Stanford's had pretty good quarterback play from McKee now that he's started. What's your initial lean here with Oregon and Stanford? I know you kind of like Stanford, man. Oregon, clear. I think is the better team overall.
Oh yeah, they're the better team, but the better team doesn't always cover the 7-point spread on the road. Stanford crowd's going to be loud. Oregon, I'm not sold on Oregon. They had one decent game, and that was versus Ohio State. Big whoop. I'm love the home dog here. You're giving me 7 points at home. 7 points at home. I'm going to buy the half point to -120, and I'm going to take the +7.5, just in case Oregon wins by a touchdown. But I'm not saying Stanford's going to win the game. I'm saying they're not going to cover the spread.
All right, you heard it here, and they got over under a 57.5. That's a lot. Seems like a lot of points. Yeah, it's a trap game. Seems like a lot of points.
Yeah.
But these are 2 teams that like to run the ball, and that to me initially screams under. Yeah. But this is a game I'm staying away from.
1,000%.
All right. So let's talk about we got a lottery ticket for today we want to give out.
Yeah. So I made this 2 days ago.
Hold on 1 second. We're going to roll the lottery ticket. All right. Anthony put together a great lottery ticket, man. Throw that up there. Go ahead. It'll talk about this. Look at that. Look at that payout for $25. That's like a half a month's salary there.
Yeah, no shit. Sorry.
All right.
There's a couple. I made this 2 days ago, and I kicked myself for I should have waited. So I got 5 NFL and 5 college football. So NFL tomorrow, all they have to do is win. Titans, Cowboys, Saints, Rams, and Chiefs. Chiefs are on the bottom. I love those 5 to win. Spread's totally different. College football, Wake Forest at home versus Louisville. It's a very good team. Wake Forest is on a roll. I love Wake Forest. Yep. The Georgia game is where I kick in myself personally. I should have put a different game on there. That's where the weak link is if I had to pick one. This is the Georgia. I'm not 1,000% confident. So if you guys like a spread a lot, replace it with Georgia. But Texas -4, I think they annihilate TCU. Florida to win versus Kentucky. Michigan, like I said, Wisconsin's the biggest fraud. I love Michigan. But this is a lottery ticket, guys. It's not 1,000%. Look at the prices. That's why it's that much. So if you wanted to subtract, replace, whatever. But I took out the Chiefs, and just to see how much it would pay, it took out $400 just to take the Chiefs out. Still a $1,200 payout for $25, which is very good. So if you wanted to take Georgia out to a 19, it would probably pay about a little over 1,000, which is nothing not to brag about. So there's the lottery ticket. Play it. Hopefully we hit. Let's get our 5 games out of the way first, and then tomorrow we can talk about the next 5.
Right on. We'll check in on this lottery ticket tomorrow. Let's give away our free play, college football. All right, so we're going to give out our free play for college football, and see our record: 12, 11, and 2. Couple bad beats in there, though, man. All right, so what do we got for today? Where are we leaning on our free play?
Ole Miss plus the points.
Right, and I like this play. I mean, I could see a backdoor cover here, man, just at the end. Yeah, Alabama, they got out to a big lead in the last game. They kind of cruised, So, no, sorry, like 2 games ago.
I don't even see a backdoor cover. I think Ole Miss is in the midst of this game, and they're going to be challenged. Yeah, I really do. I think 14.5 is too much. I don't see Bama going out to a huge lead. Ole Miss is too good, way too good, and too good of an offense. And Alabama's defense, we talked about it. They're not that good.
Yep. Well, that's going to be a great game to watch. Man, a lot of great games to watch today. And then, of course, we got NFL Sunday coming up. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow.
Yep.
And I'm the team captain. He's the preview, and I'm the main attraction.
Unstoppable, unconquerable, on top of the world, accomplishing the impossible. Unstoppable, unconquerable, on top of the world, accomplishing the impossible.
Invincible hustle, mighty desire to conspire, to transpire, to be higher.